Peace, family. Peace. Welcome to the show. Welcome to another exciting episode of Living Proof with yours truly, the Love Alchemist. And today I just kind of want to do a little bit of loose talk, man. Loose talk. Is winter finally here? That's kind of what I want to get into. Before I do, a little bit of advertisement, a little word from our sponsor. This show is brought to you in part by the Heartwork book, 31 Days to Mastering Your Relationship. This is a book that my wife and I put together for the benefit of couples worldwide. Basically, relationship healing in a binder. So go to www.theconditionsoflove.com and get your copy today. All right. So now that that's behind us, let me see who we got. We got my lovely wife, as usual, in the place. How you doing, beloved? Always showing up, always faithful, tried and true. Do me a favor as y'all come in, hit that like button and share this video. Hit that like button and share this video. Let's see if we can get us a conversation cracking. Yardley, Mr. Yardley Bond, how you doing, sir? At the bakery, per usual. My man grinds harder than 2 gears with no grease. My man Yardley, always on the grind. Brother Derek, what's happening, brother? How you doing, man? Welcome to the show. Let me share this out. Y'all do me a favor, hit that like button and share this video. And let's see if we can get us an interesting conversation going, because I got some things that I want to talk about, some things on my mind, and just kind of wanted to get it off my chest and see what's what, and see if y'all think what I think, see how I feel, and even see what I can gain from y'all's different perspectives. Hey, Karen, how you doing, sis? Like I said, Derek says, I'm great, man. Look, you said, oh, man, I see you must got it popping. We're going to talk about that later, man. Definitely going to have to talk about that. I know what that means. She got parole today. Who you talking about, man? Who got parole? Who you talking about, Yarly? Let's see. Winter is coming. Is winter finally here? I don't know how many of y'all get into the show Game of Thrones. He said, wifey. Nah, man, wifey ain't no prisoner, man. Wifey is free as a bird. So look, I watched this show called Game of Thrones. And yeah. I watched this show called Game of Thrones. And one of the themes of the show is they're always talking about, is winter coming? Right? Is winter coming? No. They say winter is coming. That's the proclamation. Winter is coming, right? And this idea that winter is coming is kind of symbolic of hard times, for lack of a better term. Let me go ahead and share this video on my own page. Let me see. Share. Y'all do me a favor as you come in, share this video. Hit that like button, share this video. Let me see. I'm going to share it to a couple more pages. There we go. All right. Hit that like button and share this video. And so winter is coming. Symbolic of hard times ahead, right? And I we got this thing going on with Russia and Ukraine. And now we just heard earlier today that the Biden administration just how do I say it? They banned all importing of oil from Russia, right? And so now people are, kind of, concerned about what the gas prices are going to be. I saw my daughter just posted earlier, a few minutes ago, actually, that her car that normally takes, I think, $35 is now, I think she said she just spent $60 to fill up. I just spent $85 to fill up. And it's just, gas prices off the chain, right? And it ain't even got started yet. I think I heard some projections that it might reach something like $7 by the summer. So my question to y'all, family, do y'all miss 45? Do you miss 45, or was this a necessary evil? Is this what we're experiencing right now? Was this necessary? Is this do you feel better about what's going on right now because 45 is gone, or do you miss 45? What does that look like in y'all's mind? That's what I want to know. Winter is coming, no resources or time. or no resources or time of lack. Yeah. Yep, that's what it is. Yeah, man. They say it's gonna be some tough times, man, and it's definitely time to squad up, man. You know, back in the day, it wasn't uncommon for families to be multiple families in one unit. Multiple families in. Derek says I miss 45. FJB. I'm not sure what FJB stands for. Is that something like Let's Go Brandon? I'm not sure. Travis says bring Trump back. Yarley says hell to the no. So you rather pay $7 a gallon. Okay. I respect your right to feel different from the others, for sure. I don't think I'd rather pay $7 a gallon. I think that's a bit on the extreme side, but yeah, my man Yarley always on the grind, so he probably got a few extra coins laying around anyway. But yeah, man, it's I think things are about to get real challenging for a lot of people. So, and I think it's in that context that I kind of wanted to touch on. Earlier, a friend mentioned to me that he wanted me to take a look at the Fresh Prince, the new TV show, The Fresh Prince. See, Brandon says today we cut off Russian oil. The Bible predicted this. These are the last days. I've been hearing that. Got a lot of people feeling uneasy, right? And it's wild, man, because with as crazy as these times are right now, and what as crazy as it seems like times are, the direction that we're headed, you're about to need your squad more than ever, right? You're about to need your people, your family, close friends, your groups, your cliques, more than ever. And it seems like it's even harder now than it's ever been to maintain that. And I'm mentioning that in the context of like I said, one of my buddies told me that he wanted me to watch The Fresh Prince and just kind of give a little bit of a critique. I only got about half. This was just yesterday that I started, so I only got about halfway through the episode, and the first episode. And even as it was coming on, the vibe of this one was very different from the vibe of the original Fresh Prince with Will Smith. And the music was different. A lot of F-bombs and N-words, and you could just tell that they were trying to kind of add that hometown edge to it that he had when he was back in Philly. And they didn't show us that part when we were watching it with Will Smith and who was Carlton, Alfonso Ribeiro, and all those guys. So we got a much more sanitized version of what his background was, right? I mean, they talked about it, but they didn't really show it. But in the TV series, they actually kind of showing it. But I don't know. I don't know if any of you guys have gotten farther than me. Help me out and let me know. Do you think has there been any type of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Any type of positive message? Because the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the original one, had a lot of positive messages in it, right? They had the clownish thing going on. They made fun of Carlton, but at the end, there was always some kind of message that you could take home from it and just kind of be like, I can dig it. I can grow from that. I can learn from that. I can apply that. Is the new one? Help me out, family. Is the new one showing anything like that? Let me see. Robert Lee says, no, I don't miss Trump because we know that the two men, Trump and Putin, were boys. Putin knows he can't get the freebies off us now. All right. I hear that. Yarley says 45 is a traitor. A potential $7 will hurt my pockets, but will hurt my pockets too. But no matter how high the gas gets, it will stop people from driving. It will stop people from driving or buying cars. Okay. All right. I don't know. I mean, the way I see it, man, we don't know anything but what they tell us, to be honest with you. And they all lie. So I don't know, man. I'm not a fan of 46, but it is what it is. And I wasn't a fan of 45 per se, but 46, I'm definitely not a fan. I'll say that. But just getting back to this Fresh Prince thing, man. I was kind of comparing it to the Cosby Show, and I just kind of thought about, man, if they brought the Cosby Show back, if they were to do a reboot of the Cosby Show, just kind of wonder what that might look like today. And I was kind of doing a little bit of research on it, and there was a professor. His name was man, what was that brother's name? Poussaint, something Poussaint. But he was a let's see. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Let's see. Professor. There we go. Yeah, his name was Poussaint, something Poussaint. And he talked about, so he was one of the, he said he had nothing to do with the humor on the show, but he was a professor of psychiatry, and he was an associate dean for student affairs at the medical school. And he joined Bill Cosby to help develop the show. And Bill Cosby consulted him on almost every episode during the 8-year run, just kind of fine-tuning the educational message, and he offered his insights into child psychology, right? So the word was that Bill Cosby spent tens of thousands of dollars to make sure that the show shared the message that he wanted to share, right? So he was real big into the message. And even if you look at, when you look at the TV show A Different World, that was a spinoff of the Cosby Show, you saw that that show had a huge impact on Black students enrolling in college, especially HBCUs. And it had us rocking the HBCU hoodies. Even the cats that were not college students were still rocking the hoodies. We was, not we, but a lot of guys were, just kind of perpetrating, flexing like they were college students, because that was the flex for a lot of guys, right? And so it just goes to show you how big of an impact media has on behavior. I think a lot of people kind of, overlook or maybe don't understand the impact that media has on behavior. So Cosby went, that extra length, I guess, to spend all these tens of thousands of dollars consulting professional psychologists and psychiatrists to make sure that he drove the message that he wanted. And so it just kind of made me, I'm toggling back and forth with these ideas in my mind about the Cosby Show. And of course, this is, 30 years ago with the Cosby Show, but today with Kevin Says, I graduated from an HBCU. And so I'm just kind of like, man, I wonder, who did they consult? How much money did they spend? And what message are they trying to drive with this new Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? I heard that the little girl, Ashley, she was the teenage girl on the original Fresh Prince. And now the little girl is, I think they made her a little bit younger, and she's like 8 years old. And the word is, I haven't gotten to this part yet. I haven't gotten this far yet, but I heard that she's gay now, and that she's always pushing up on this this young Hispanic or young Mexican girl to try to convince her to be her girlfriend. Now, this girl is 8 years old. Ashley is on the show now, and she's always pushing up on this other young girl to get her to be her girlfriend. I'm just like, what was the thing? I wonder what went on in the think tank, and equally important, what message or what messages are they trying to drive with this new program? See, Yarley says World War III will not happen if careful political brinksmanship, is that brinksmanship, continues. Russia will lose badly. The removal of Putin will retreat, the retreat of their forces and the suffering of the Russian people. All right. Brandon says Stanley Mayer made a car that ran off water and was poisoned in a restaurant in 1998. Might be a good topic when discussing oil prices and how powerful oil is. Media has a lot of control. Yeah. I heard a lot of stories about that, man. Reportedly there were cars that could run, I guess prototypes that maybe mistakenly got released into the industry, and I heard one guy got his hands on one of those. He bought one and didn't realize that he had bought one, and he was getting like crazy gas mileage, and he kept going back to the dealership, trying to get the car checked out, trying to see if there was something wrong with the car. He didn't realize, I guess, that it was, a gift, or that he had kind of lucked out or whatever, but he was getting like insane gas mileage. And but yeah, to your point, Brandon, I heard that there were several people, inventors or what have you, that came out with engines that can run on, they can draw moisture from the air and run on that. There was matter of fact, when Flint, a couple years ago, when Flint had that water crisis, there was a retired Army guy. It was a retired Army guy, and he developed this engine that was drawing water, producing water from moisture in the air, pure, clean water. And overnight, somebody vandalized and damaged the machine. I don't know. It's kind of wild. It's kind of wild. Seems like somebody's going to great lengths to make sure that we don't get this free 99 that we've been hoping for. Robert says, let's see. Well, you can't have the father. Okay, now here we go. Well, you can't have the father in the home. The daughters will be sexually active. The son must or will have issues with his sexuality. One of the kids must be gay or fighting with their sexuality. Cosby Show Oh, you saying that's what would happen if the Cosby Show got rebooted? Man, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Kevin says Carlton is a sellout and does cocaine. That's what it is on the new show? Yo. Kevin, is that what they're doing on the new show? Carlton is a sellout and does cocaine? Yardley says, I went to an HBCU. Cosby Show in a different world era were the best years of my life. Kevin says, yes. Oh, wow, man. I haven't even gotten that. And, I knew it was going to be some nonsense, really. The reason that I didn't even try to watch it in the first place. But my guy, I guess he just kind of wanted me to take a look at it and kind of, give my critique on it. Brandon says they were shut up or killed and paid. I believe you, man. Yeah, man. That's what they say. That's what they say. So, we look at, we're in this era now, man, where it's really tough, and we need to, more is required of us, as much as required of us, as any other time in history, really, maybe even potentially more. And now it's even more challenging, more difficult for us to work together. You got the men blaming the women blaming the men, and we don't know what the hell to do, right? So people are really confused. And then you get these, if 30 years ago when Bill Cosby was putting the Cosby Show together, if he had a think tank for fine-tuning his message, hold on, this is my daughter calling me. I can't talk, darling. I'll call you later. Yeah, if he had a think tank 30, 40 years ago, really now, it was almost 40 years ago, then, man, they got think tanks going on now, and it just makes you wonder what messages are they intending to drive, and what impact is this going to have? Because I don't think any of this is an accident, and TV is definitely not just entertainment. Yardley says it is the agenda to destroy the nuclear black family. Wow. Heavy. Let me see. I had a couple. Oh, somebody else mentioned no father being in the home. My man Troy, OG Troy, I had him on the show last week, and he mentioned this Pruitt-Igoe project in St. Louis. Kevin, you from St. Louis, right? I think you're from St. Louis. He talked about the Igoe Pruitt or Pruitt-Igoe. I forget however, which comes first, but the Igoe Pruitt projects down in St. Louis. And man, just to see how they put that together and the way it started out, it really is similar to all of the different projects in the major cities. And one of the things that so this kind of goes in conflict with some of the conversational points or talking points that a lot of guys in the red pill community have. They like to say that the women chose welfare over the men, that the women chose welfare over the men. And that's the beginning of the downfall of our family structures, our nuclear families, and how we got to where we are right now. And I've always argued against that, right? And I use myself as an example because we have a pretty decent living arrangement here. And I just wonder, I'm like, man, if somebody came up to my wife right now and said, hey, I'm gonna offer you some overcrowded housing, some powdered eggs, powdered milk, big old block of cheese, and a big old block of bologna, and abject poverty, would she leave me in our current arrangement in favor of that new arrangement? I don't think she would, right? I can emphatically say, I don't think she would, right? So I'm thinking back to those times in those project years where this offer was made to the women of that time. You can have this project housing, this overcrowded housing, powdered eggs, block of cheese, block of bologna, right? No man in the house. You can't have your man in the house, right? What woman in her right mind would choose that over a healthy relationship with a man who's capable of providing, right? And I don't think healthy women in a healthy situation with a man that's able to provide chooses abject poverty and powdered eggs over maintaining a relationship with that guy, with that man, with the father of her children, her husband, whatsoever, however you want to phrase it, right? I don't think women choose that, not naturally, not organically. So then the question has to be raised, what was it that she was saying yes to? And equally important, what was it that she was leaving away from? What was she saying, okay, I'm going to leave this man or leave these men behind in favor of this arrangement that is better? Powdered eggs, powdered milk, cheese, bologna. This arrangement, overcrowded housing, abject poverty, this arrangement is better than living with the father of my children. How many women choose that type of arrangement when they have a healthy option waiting on them? And I don't think very many of them do. And so as I'm listening to this documentary on the Igo Pruitt project, it's called the Igo Pruitt Myth. It's on Amazon Prime. And as I'm listening to it, I'm listening to one of the ladies talk about the conversation that her parents had, that her mother and father sat down and discussed what the best option was for their family. 12 children, mother, father, 12 children. And the mother and father decided together that it was best for them to take, for the wife, for the mother and the children, the 12 children, to go into the project housing, and the father would go out and do the best he could. And I guess presumably he would make money as the best way he could and send, support to the best of his ability. Men don't make decisions like that when they have better options. And I'm convinced that women don't make decisions like that when they have better options, right? So to hear her say that her mother and father discussed it and they came to a mutual understanding that the projects, living in abject poverty, powdered eggs, powdered milk, block of cheese, block of bologna, overcrowded situation, violence, that this was a better alternative than what the man was able to offer her, right? And I heard there was a conversation between James Baldwin and Nikki Giovanni, and he said something very similar. He said, well, if I have to leave, because if I stay, nobody eats. So I'm offering this as a counter to how a lot of men in the red pill community and the so-called manosphere, it's a counter to the narrative that women just basically chose, A or B, both are decent options. I'm just going to choose the projects and bye-bye to the man, because now I got this freedom, right? I don't think, when I think about it, it just sounds so stupid to me that would even be, a healthy relationship with a man that's able to provide and contribute, that the average woman would choose the projects and to be a single mother, especially of multiple children, over that. It doesn't make a bit of sense to me. Let me see what we got down here. Yarley says the agenda is to destroy the nuclear black family. Did I read that already? I think I did. Anyway, so where was I? I was mentioning that for a reason. That whole Igo project, that Igo Pruitt housing thing, for a reason. I kind of lost my train of thought. But anyway, just kind of where we are with respect to how the family is right now. Oh yeah, another part of that documentary, they were interviewing the men. And this is for a lot of people that say, well, racism is dead, and the men just didn't want to work. There was one brother that they were interviewing. He said, man, I've put in application after application, and sometimes they would call me, and once they hear my voice on the phone and they can determine that I'm Black, they would tell me that all the jobs are filled. And this brother was literally crying on film because he had a wife and 2 children that he could not provide for because there were no job opportunities for him. They asked him, well, what kind of jobs are you willing to do? He said, man, I'll do anything. And the guy named some jobs, what many people would consider menial jobs, maybe equivalent to picking fruit or whatever. He said, I will literally do anything. I have not turned down one job, and the jobs were not available for him. So his family had to choose the projects so that he could go out here and try to make it the best way he could. One woman said that the housing authorities told her mom that the father couldn't even be in the same state in order for them to qualify for project housing, that he had to leave the state. Now, I don't know how they confirmed or verified that he was going to be out of the state, but the fact that that was even a stipulation is insane. They wanted to make sure that you were in poverty and made sure that the chances of you getting out of poverty were even further reduced. And I'm saying this is the kind of pressure that was on the families back then that led to and contributed to where we are right now. It wasn't so simple as women just saying, well, hey, I got freedom to be a single mom and I choose that over. Come on, man. It's just, I don't know. If you think about it, it's just really, really stupid. But I'll digress. Let me see. We got a couple more comments here. My man Yarley says, winter is here because once you disintegrate the authority of the Black man, so he can no longer establish system, order, and structure of his family. He can no longer offer protection and provisioning. Our women and children, therefore, are no longer covered. Yeah. His ability to do that, his ability to provide, to make provisions, have been drastically, or our ability collectively has been drastically compromised. Now we have options now because you can make money on the internet, and you can hustle, you can kind of work your way around some of that stuff. Now you don't have to rely on a job, but the fact is, if you think about it, most people are not cut out to be entrepreneurs. If you look across the board, most businesses fail. Most independent businesses fail within the first 5 years. So most people, when I say most people, I'm going to say better than 90% of the people are not cut out to be entrepreneurs. I mean, and this is an inherent trait, that type of drive that's necessary to go and do that. Most people don't have that. Most people just want to go to work at a reasonable job, get a reasonable pay, come home, take care of their family, free of controversy, free of violence. Most people want the same thing, man. And so for those type of roadblocks to be put in the path, it's insurmountable for most people. Yarley says, don't front on the block of cheese. Look, man, hey, I had the blocks, bro. I grew up in the projects. 4800 West 44th Street, Chicago, Illinois, Cicero, right off Cicero Avenue. I understand what the block cheese do. I understand what that thick bologna do, man. I ain't no stranger to it, but I'm saying that's not a healthy arrangement. That's the point. And women in healthy arrangements don't opt for that arrangement. That's the point that I'm making. Brandon says, sad that humans still treat any race with favoritism. I hope to help change this one day. Yep, for sure. And that's, as quiet as it's kept, man, that's the hustle. The racism is a con game, right? At the end of the day, the so-called elite don't really care about anybody who's not elite, outside of whatever purposes that they have that they can exploit you for. I don't want to get too, into the conspiracy theory part of it, but if you just look back at the largest rebellion in the history of the United States, it's called Bacon's Rebellion. And it was in the, I want to say, late 1700s. Hold on, let me wet my whistle. In the late 1700s, Bacon's Rebellion. So poor people were poor people. There was no such thing as black and white at that time. there were no designations for people who look like me. They weren't calling me a black man. They were not calling white people at that time. You were just poor or working class. And the people were so tired of being mistreated. There was a guy named Nathaniel Bacon, and he led this huge rebellion, biggest rebellion in the history of the United States. He led this huge rebellion, and the rebellion was so big. And let me backtrack a little bit. The rebellion gained steam because, kind of like today, people were very tired of being mistreated, right? They were tired of being taken advantage of, exploited, et cetera, et cetera. And this was across the board. This was black, white, whatever, right? And Nathaniel Bacon had led this rebellion because the masses of the people were pissed off about being mistreated. And the rebellion was so big that they had to get troops from England to help come over here and quell the rebellion. And the so-called elite at that time devised this divide and conquer strategy of, okay, you're black, you're white, and even though you're white, and even though I'm still going mistreat you and subjugate you and keep you impoverished and do all these things to you that I was still doing, I'm going to give you this make-believe status of whiteness, right? Because nobody's skin is white. It's a status. Black and white is a social status. It's not your skin color. So long story short, they separated, they gave this divide and conquer strategy, and there you go. So to this day, we still have these issues that they injected, but those issues were not organic, right? Hit that like button, family. Hit that like button, share this video. And yeah, that's that. Let me see what else we got. Yarley says, the housing authority would send social workers to the home. I remember them coming to my house. Yeah, men would have to hide in the closets. You know, you have to hide shoes, make sure that the man's shoes weren't in the house. I mean, and they would even question the children. Has your father been here? Has a man been here? And the mom would have to coach the children up, you know, to make sure that they understood the message. Hey, make sure you tell these people when they come here, these social workers, make sure you tell them that no man has been in this house, right? Your father, you don't know your father, you ain't never seen him, he ain't never been here, et cetera, right? Because if they found out that you were violating, the agreement of no man in the house, you could lose your privileges of living in housing, right? Show your boy some love. If you want to support what we do here, cash at me via the $, Love Alchemist 11, $, Love Alchemist 11. If you want to support the Alchemical Ministries, if you appreciate what I do here, and everybody knows who I am, what I do. But for those of you who have not yet heard, just a quick little something about me. Intermission break, right? I'm a native of Chicago. You know me as Love Alchemist. I'm a master relationship strategist, author, transformational speaker, and personal development coach. And I help with my 31 years of marriage, I help married couples and unmarried couples just to kind of find their own unique path to harmony. And also, like I said, I'm a personal development coach. And so I enjoy doing it. I'm passionate about it. And so if you know anybody, couples, married or unmarried, or even people who just need, you know, some personal development, personal improvement, I'm your guy. You know, so that's that. What else? Where was I at? Get back to these comments. Mina says, liked and shared. I appreciate you, sis. What else? Let me see. Y'all got anything on y'all mind? Any questions, any comments? I kind of just wanted to have some loose talk, man. Just kind of get into this thing. My cousin made a post earlier about peace of mind, right? And I think a lot of people, man, you know, let me say it this way. There's some good people on this planet, right? And it doesn't really matter what your religion is. I know some miserable Christians. I know some miserable Muslims. It doesn't really matter what your relationship is. You can pray to whoever you pray to. But when it's all said and done, when all that dust settles, if you don't have peace of mind, I don't know how much any of that stuff really matters in the present time. I'm not saying it don't matter in the afterlife, right? Your beliefs are what your beliefs are. But I'm saying, I don't know that there's anything more important than peace of mind. And I'm telling, man, look, I'm religious about mine. You be religious about what you want to be religious about, but I'm religious about maintaining my peace of mind. And so, and that's part of the reason why I really like helping people kind of restore that in their own life. So that's that. These going back to these gas prices though, man, the that's going to affect the cost of everything, man. The cost of goods and just overall the cost of living. There was a young lady. I used to make it even more personal. My daughter, their rent just went up like $300. Anybody else had that experience? Anybody else have to renew a lease within the past 3-4 months and see how much have they gone up on your rent, or anybody that you know? Has anybody else seen or experienced that rent increase? $300, from $1,300 a month to $1,600 a month. I went and looked at an apartment that I was renting some years ago. This is before I bought my house. I bought my house 5 years ago. So I was renting this apartment about a little over 6 years ago. And I was paying $1,200 for this 3-bedroom apartment. That same 3-bedroom apartment is now $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month that just 6 years ago was $1,200 a month. Have y'all seen any of that or experienced any of that? Because I got a feeling it's about to get even worse. So I guess kind of with that being said, this is the time to get your credit right, man. If your credit, if you can help it, I don't know. I think this is the time, and I know you're gonna overpay for a house because the prices on houses are through the roof too. Amina says rent is through the roof, food is extra high. Now the gas, they stay taking advantage of the situation. Yep, all of that. And man, if you have the option to get your credit right, if it ain't right already, and to get yourself into a house, man. If the rent is $300 already now, I can just imagine with these sanctions on Russia, that it's going to be even higher than that now. Get yourself locked in, man, and get yourself a house. That is what I would do. That's part of it. That wasn't. I got my house before I even realized all this stuff was coming. But Yardley says it's like that in Brunswick, Georgia. Yeah, man, it's insane out here. It's insane, and I don't know. You can expect that a lot of people are going to be moving in together. They were calling my generation the sandwich generation because a lot of us are responsible for our elders, our parents, as well as our children. Right? Because this generation is, kind of still, some of us still have decent jobs. I mean, the economy has been kind of crushed. So, that's going to be a challenge too, even with that. But you can imagine that a lot of families are going to be living together again. Amina says, you see people offering and paying above what houses are worth as well, though. Yeah. My my house has gone up over $100,000 in equity. I know people who've gotten a lot more than that. But when you go to sell it, it's hard to justify selling it unless you got, a huge amount of equity, because you're going to overpay when you go to replace it. And then where are the jobs at to justify? I mean, who can pay these huge prices anyway? Even if your house is now, if you bought your house at 200,000 and now it's 400,000, I mean, man, Target is paying $24 an hour now. Right? Target is paying $24 an hour where I'm at. Who can afford to pay these prices though? It's crazy. Insane. So, you might be able to sell your house for this, this huge amount, but man, it's going to take some real shaking and moving to try to replace, something that you're still comfortable in, because they're selling them so fast. A lot of people are coming from, up north or out west in California, New York, and they're selling their homes. They might be able to get $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 for a home that they can come down here and they can still overpay and still be good because they pay so much in the first place. So, those types of scenarios, you might fare a little bit better. But I think a lot of people, if you're already in the region, living in the region that you're in, let's say here, Georgia, South Carolina, you don't have that kind of leeway, that kind of cushion. $24 an hour at Target, man. Never thought I'd see that. What else? Entrepreneurship. What are some good entrepreneurship hustles right now? Like what do people need right now? What do people need right now that they can parlay it into a decent entrepreneurship type of opportunity? You know, because with gas price, like a lot of people were doing Uber and DoorDash and things like that. But if gas is going to keep creeping up, I mean, man, that's going to kill the Uber game. That's going to kill the DoorDash game. You paying $7 a gallon for gas or $5 a gallon for gas. I mean, that's your profit margin. That's your profits right there. Unless you maybe doing it on the bike. I mean, when I was going overseas, when I was in the Navy, they were paying, this was in the 90s. And they were paying like, I want to say like $2-3 per liter for gas, even back then. It's 3 liters to a gallon, right? 1, 2, 3. 3 liters to a gallon. So if they were paying, let's just say $2 for the sake of underestimating, right? $2 a gallon. That means they were paying $6 a gallon in the 90s and the early 2000s for gas back then. So I can just imagine how crazy it's going to be now. And Yarley said guns and lots of guns. Man, look, whatever you got, you better be able to protect it. That's for sure. Better be able to protect it. Yep. And you better know them laws too. Better know the law, because if you shoot somebody who, let's talk about that for a minute. Let me wrap this point up first about being overseas. I think this is a large part of the reason why a lot of those people over there ride bicycles. They ride bicycles, they ride mopeds, and they walk a whole lot more than we do over here. We've grown real comfortable over here driving everywhere. But I think the times might be coming where, you know, people got to get back on those bikes, walk a little bit more, get some mopeds. You better get if you're going to get a moped or a motorcycle, you probably better go ahead and get it now, because you know they're going to hike those prices up for those too. Amina said, good money in Turo and Airbnb right now. They go hand in hand. And cleaning and the cleaning business. Okay. And cleaning business. Yeah, I like that. I like that. The cleaning business for Airbnb. That sounds like a good hustle. Get that business credit right as well. Seeing many build their business credit and use that to fund the fleet they have on Turo and to get the things needed for Airbnb. Amina, you got a lot going on up here. You sound like a smart young woman. You sound like a smart young lady. Yardley says their countries are a lot smaller and have less space to drive a vehicle. Yeah, the roads over there are super narrow, much more narrow than over here. And again, they drive a lot smaller cars over there too. But let's go back to this guns thing, man. I want to touch on that for a minute, because I'm not super hip to the gun laws, but I do know a couple things. One thing I know for sure, you have to, in order to justify the use of deadly force. And when I say deadly force, for those who don't know, anytime you pull out your gun and use your gun on somebody, that's using deadly force. In order to justify using deadly force, in order to shoot somebody or use your weapon without going to jail, you have to be facing imminent danger or threat to your life. That means your life has to be in threat in the moment that you discharge your weapon, right? So I heard a story about a guy getting robbed. He had just got money out the ATM, and the guy came up to him, put a gun in his back, told him to give up the money, and guy gave up the money, and then the crook turned around and ran. And then the guy up and started shooting at the guy as he was running away. He going to jail. He going to jail because his life is not in danger right now. There is no threat, immediate threat to his life and safety in the moment that he's discharging that weapon. And on top of that, you shooting out into the open. So you could hit anybody. Those bullets ricochet, right? So in order for you to justify using that weapon, your life has to be in danger in the moment that you fire that weapon. And you better make sure that they're probably no more than 7 to 10 yards, between 7 and 10 yards away from you. Any further away from you than that, it's going to be hard to justify this idea that your life was in imminent danger, unless somebody, of course, they're running full speed towards you and they got a machete in their hand or something like that. But study them gun laws, man. Don't just get a gun and think that just because you have a gun and you have a permit that you're gonna be out here, doing any and everything, because you'll find yourself in a lot of trouble real quick. So imminent danger. I'm trying to remember because I was on the security force when I was in the military. This was, man, almost 30 years ago. So your life has to be in imminent danger, and there has to be an immediate threat to your safety and bodily harm, right? So yeah, something like that. So look it up, learn the laws in your state, learn the scenarios where you should use your weapon versus scenarios where it's not advised to use those weapons. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, any questions, any comments? Did y'all hit that like button? Did y'all share this video? Let me see. How do you think all of this stuff is going to impact relationships now that we're going forward? That's the question I have right now. Do you think, because we got a lot of bickering going on right now, right? And most of us, there are a whole lot of people who can't really even see straight for what we're dealing with right now. Jana Taggart says, let them know because you cannot protect property. Yeah, you you can't be shooting people because they're about to drive off in your car. That's not an immediate threat to your life, right? You are not. Yeah, I just said it. It's not an immediate threat to your life. You cannot, despite your purse, your whole income tax plus your rent money can be in that car. Too bad. You better not shoot them because you're going to jail. You get your rent money back, you better hurry up and spend it because you're going to jail. So just as when it comes to your valuable things, as much as possible, just be wise with how you place them. Maybe keep your most valuable things on you, not in your car. Don't leave your weapon in your car, especially if you're parking on the street. Just be smart with how you move, man. Let's see. Yarley says they get really technical if you are defending your life while black, but if you're white, ... Yeah, man. The game is rigged. We know it is. So you gotta counter. Do your best to counter that. So have a little bread for a lawyer. Have a little bread for a lawyer. But equally important, maybe even more important, learn the law. Learn the law. Know the law for yourself. And to the best of your ability, be armed here as much as you might be, here. Because, man, oh man, like you said, they get real technical if you're defending your life when you look like us, right? Let's see. Yarley says, get you some firearm insurance. Okay, I didn't know about that. That's a new one to me. Firearm insurance. USCCA. Okay, I'm gonna definitely look into that. Firearm insurance. So let me ask you this, Yardley, Jana, Amina. Do you think that this current crisis that we're going through, with winter coming and all, do you think this is going to force us to be a little bit more compliant in our relationships? Do you think this is going to force us to work together? And I'm not talking about the collective people. I'm talking about men and women, just boy meets girl. Do you think that these scenarios that we're facing right now, and if they get worse, like people are predicting, do you think that this is going to force us to work a little harder to cooperate? Yarley says yes. Are you saying yes to the question I just asked? I think so. I think people are gonna have to learn real quick how to get along. That's my prediction. And we got to get a crash course going because I think it's at our front door right now. Travis says yes. Yes, I think so too, Cuzzo. And so tough times, man. Tough times. And so here's the thing about that. Let's see. Janice says, absolutely, we'll have to work harder together. Look, if they say if you want to go quickly, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together, right? with things looking the way that they're looking, and I'm not trying to paint, I don't want to be gloom and doom, you know what I mean? I'm a motivational speaker, right? I'm an inspirational speaker, but I'm also real, right? And we got to prepare. We got to prepare. And I think that anytime you're dealing with adversity, that adversity is a little bit less difficult when you got somebody to face it with, right? All of a sudden, looks aren't quite as important as they were, a year ago, 2, 3 years ago. It's much more important to have somebody on your squad. I don't know, man. I'm thinking that, like I said, we're gonna have to learn real quick, but not just to be together just for the sake of being together, and not just to be together for the sake of having a teammate. But I mean, it's important that we learn how to do it in a healthy way, family. Not just I got a wife or I got a husband, somebody that's there. Because you got a lot of couples that have been together for 20, 30 years and they can't stand each other. Been together 20, 30 years and they barely speak, right? And so I think with what we're dealing with right now, with what we're facing right now, we're going to have to learn to be a little bit more cooperative, a lot more cooperative than that. That's my 2 cents. What else we got? Y'all got any questions? I'm just sitting here rambling. Ain't nobody said nothing to me. Yardley says women, will have to learn to respect a black man's authority, and the black man must learn how to lead benevolently. Okay. Let me say this to that. Because my situation is a little different. I don't, and maybe I'm in the minority on this, right? Hold on, before I go here, let me read Amina's comment. She says, yes, for a lot, but it won't happen for some. What you should do and what gets done doesn't always line up. But I hope we as a whole get a healing. Man, these are facts. Look, I'm gonna go back to Yarley, your comment, bro. I don't run my house like I'm the authority in my house. I don't even see relationships that way. Like there is an element of leadership for sure. But I don't rock like I got the authority. I put my foot down. Like my relationship is much more about cooperation than it is about submission. Maybe I'm in the minority on that, but I will say this. I'm also in the minority with the success that I'm having in my marriage. Take that for what it's worth. But the authority respect my authority, and must learn how to lead benevolently. There is an element of leadership in my marriage. There are some things that I am better suited to handle than my wife, but there's some things that my wife is better suited to handle than me. There's some areas of life where my wife is just, she knows more than I do. And that doesn't make me feel some type of way. I think it's good for the team. If she knows more than I do in a given area, and that's a win for me, because that's a win for the team. So I really don't feel like I have to lead my wife in the same sense that I hear a lot of men talking about leading their wives. And I don't know, man. I'm much more about cooperation, and I'm much more about the complementary aspect of what the relationship means. And so I think because of that, check this out. I think because of that, my wife is a lot happier than most wives on this planet. And I look, man, how do I say this? My wife will do more for me without me even asking. And it looks a lot like submission. Like there are times where I'm in here working, I'm on my computer, I'm doing whatever I'm doing, and I might lose track of time. And before I know it, she's coming in here with a plate full of food, right? And I didn't ask for it. I might not even realize that I'm hungry. Now, to a lot of guys, that looks like submission. A lot of guys might go to their wife and say, man, why don't you do that for me the way his wife does for him? But I'm telling you, that is a role that she has in our relationship. She takes great care of me, but it's symbiotic, right? And I believe that a large part of the reason that she takes great care of me is because I also take great care of her. She feels heard, she feels appreciated, she feels wanted, she feels like I consider what it is that she wants or what it is that she thinks. So there are so many ways that, I mean, it's just a conversation that we're having that about what it looks like and what it takes to maintain a harmonious relationship, more so than this idea, this arbitrary idea. Most people don't even know what. Look, man, let me say it this way. When I was in the military, I make a lot of references to when I was in the military. When I was in the military, in order for me to go to the next rank, we had leadership training. And there are some aspects of that leadership that I do employ in my marriage, but it's much more about relating than it is about leading, right? So the point that I'm making, though, is a lot of us want to lead and we've never had any type of leadership training. And just having a penis, listen to me good, just because we have a penis does not automatically qualify us for leadership. There are women out here who will run circles around us when it comes to just functioning in day-to-day life. And I'll even go a step further. Watch this. I grew up without my father. See, Yarley says, if you need benevolently, it's not about power. It's not about power over. It's about shared, yin and yang. But see, now, there you go. If you use a term like yin and yang, that's complementarity. That's balance, right? That's relationship. That's not leadership. Yin and yang does not exalt one over the other. Yin and yang is, I got 8 ounces of water, you got 8 ounces of water. Neither one of our role is more important than the other. Both of our roles are equally beneficial and equally necessary. Now, it doesn't mean that we're equal. I could bench press 400 pounds. My wife can't bench press 400 pounds. Well, I used to be able to bench press. I can't do it no more. But anyway, the point is, I might be stronger in some areas, but where I'm not as strong, I'll say it this way. I think, it's just a theory, but I think in many regards, where we might be stronger physically, women might be stronger in another aspect. What aspect is that? Is it spiritually? Is it emotionally? Maybe. You know, but there has to be some sort of offset. If we are yin and yang, right? If we are complementary pairs, there has to be some way that she shows up with an equivalent strength in a different area, an equal but opposite strength, or an equal but complementary strength, right? So I don't think that physical strength is the end all be all. That physical might is the end all be all. Amina says, Yarly, respect goes both ways. A woman is not your pet or your child, your kid. That just came off all types of wrong. If you can, you will. And if you can't, then guess what? Just because you're the man does not mean you know it all. A man can be the head without coming off like it's my way or no way. This is a 1919. You know how to move. If you move how you should, you will get what you need from a woman. Well, look, like I said, man, I don't even know. Oh, I was going to make a point about this. And I don't want this, I got to say this right, because I don't want this to come off as a self-indictment, right? But I grew up without my father. Now, the closest thing I had to a father was my grandfather. But there was such a generation gap. And my grandfather, of course, he had his challenges when he was growing up. He and his father didn't have the best relationship. So there was a huge disconnect between me and my grandfather. He really didn't, you know, I knew he cared about me, loved me and all that stuff. He would fix my handlebars whenever I would strip my gooseneck, right? He would fix things that were broken. He was very protective and all those things, but he didn't really offer me very many life lessons. None that, you know, through conversation. I had to watch and learn, right? But he didn't sit me down, hey boy, listen, them girls, this, or money, work. He didn't pass down a lot of those things that I would take into manhood and show up like, okay, I'm ready for leadership. I'm ready to be a husband. I'm ready to be a father. He really didn't offer me those things outside of what I was able to see and glean for myself, right? My wife, on the other hand, she didn't grow up with her father, but she had an amazing relationship with her grandfather. And he showed her all kinds of things, right? So she had a very loving and supportive relationship with him, and she spent all kind of time with him. Like when most kids want to be, wherever hanging out or whatever, she wanted to be with her grandfather. And they just developed that bond, right? So what she brought to the relationship was a better idea in my mind. Check this out. She had a better idea of what a masculine, a healthy masculine presence was than I did. I'm gonna say it again because I know a lot of people don't like that, and I know a lot of people might miss that. She had a better idea of what a healthy masculine presence was in the household, in the family structure, how men relate to their children, how men relate to their wives. She had a better idea of what healthy masculinity looked like than I did. So there would be times where she would call me out based on, because I'm a young knucklehead, right? I think I'm a street dude, right? But I wasn't really a street dude, but I thought I was a street dude, right? So I'm getting a lot of my ideas about how to relate to my woman through things that were not healthy masculine presence, from the street, from music, from peers, right? I see all this stuff, but I don't have it real time in my life in a healthy way. Cosby Show helped out, right? For what it's worth, but she had it real time from her grandfather. So she would call me out based on the things, and I met him. Great man, one of the greatest men, one of the smartest men I ever met in my life, right? Bruce, what's good, brother? What's good? So here we are. Let me see. Here we are. Here she is challenging me, checking me based on what it is that her grandfather is offering her. And I'm like, there's the ego thing, right? So there's a part of me that's saying, I'm the man. I'm 18. I got married when I'm 18. So I got a lot of ego, got a lot of pride. And you the woman, right? I'm very chauvinistic at the time. You're a woman. I'm the man. I make all the money. When I put my foot down, this is what it is, right? I have to lead. And I wasn't always benevolent, right? Had a lot of real wild ideas about what manhood was. And she checking me based on the healthy presence of masculinity that she had in her life. And conversely, what I was lacking in my life. My father got murdered when I was 11 years old. And even before that, he was not a healthy masculine presence. My grandfather was there, but there was such a huge disconnect that he couldn't offer me a healthy version of masculinity that I could learn from in the ways that I needed to show up for my wife and for my children. But my wife shows up and says, yo, you doing it wrong. Who the hell you think you are? Who the hell you think you're talking to? I'm the man. Yeah, bruh, but you're doing it wrong. You know how that's a bitter pill, fam. That's a bitter pill. But she was right. She was right. As much as I hate to admit it at the time, she was right. And the benefit that I had was I met her grandfather, loved him, and he was crazy about me, right? So I met him. I knew who he was. I mean, man dropped out of school in what, like third grade, fourth grade, taught himself all kind of math, advanced math, genius. And I saw him interact with his wife. I saw him interact with his children. They were adults at the time that I met him, but I saw the man in action real time. So I knew what she was talking about. And I knew she wasn't running the game on me because that's just not who she is. My wife is square as hell, teacher's pet, bring the teacher apple type chick, right? So she wasn't running the game, but she was, I'm trying not to cuss. She was a no nonsense chick, right? No BS. So when and I had a lot of BS in me. So whenever I showed up with the BS, she was like, you're doing it wrong. I had to eat that. I had to eat that, right? So I'm saying all that to say, sometimes in this culture, with the culture that we have, with as broken and as fractured as it is, a lot of our men show up to these relationships with women And sometimes they have a better idea of what healthy masculinity looks like than you do. Just saying, it is what it is. Like it or lump it. Let me see. Rosetta says it is better to have mutual respect for each other rather than saying, as a black woman, I need to learn to respect a black man's authority. Mutual respect will take a black woman and a black man a lot further together. That's what I'm saying. I have tremendous respect for my wife. Now, a lot of guys might say, oh, man, you sound like a simp. Watch this. As much of a simp as you might think I sound like, there is absolutely nothing that I cannot get from my wife. Nothing. There's absolutely nothing that she will not do for me real time right now. And most of the stuff that she does for me, I don't even ask. She just finds ways to make my life better. Man, did you hear what I just said? She finds ways. She's invested. I don't know why. I don't know how she got. I don't know where she got. I didn't train her to do that. I didn't teach her to do that. She just watches me. She says, I bet you need, look, she just bought me a new wallet. Boom. I bet he needs the wallet. Bought me a new wallet. Out the blue. I'm like, damn, thanks. Appreciate you. Right? She bought me a new ring light. See this pretty light y'all see me on right now? But last week my live was a little bit dim. She shows up. I bet you could use better light. I didn't train her to do that, fam. What I'm saying is the way that I relate to my woman, you don't understand me, man. The way that I relate to my woman inspires her to show up for me the way that she does. Boy, I'm preaching. Let me. Boy, look at that Cash App. Y'all show some love to your boy. Cash App, Love Alchemist 11 for the Love Alchemical Ministries. Garen Black says, thank you, sir. Yardley says, I apologize if you misunderstood my message. I do not believe women are pets. Okay, that's not for me. That's for the sister above, Amina. I'm only trying to convey an analogy of a complementary relationship. Man's authority does not mean I rule over my family with an iron fist. It means that I, the man, should establish a system, order, and structure in a relationship, and you pass that culture to our children. You know, and I feel where you're coming from with that, Yardley. I do, because this is what we've been indoctrinated with. This is what we've been inundated with. And we think that, you know, that we have these, you know, this is what we've been given. But I think if a man and a woman, minus all of the heat and the emotion that comes with that, if we both sit down and strategize and we share our ideas about what a healthy outcome looks like for our relationship together, for our vision for our children, our vision for our family, if we sit down and we talk about this thing together, minus all of the heated and elevated emotion, you might be surprised how much wisdom exists inside that little think tank. I call that a mastermind. When two or more, even the Bible says, where two or more gathered in my name, I'm with them also, right? I ain't trying to go to church on y'all, but I'm saying two heads are better than one. And when I sit down, there are times right now, I think I'm a pretty smart guy, right? I think if C is average, I think I'm at least a C plus, right? And when I sit down with my woman to strategize and talk about the direction that I want to go and the things that I would like to do for our family and et cetera, the things that she offers me in return, sometimes it still surprises me. Not even surprised. Sometimes I'm just blown away by how much intellect she offers to the conversation. So this idea that women are emotional and men are logical is really, it's just not true. It's just not true. So I'm saying if a man and a woman can sit down and learn how to cooperate, that's better than any type of leadership, blah, blah, blah. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Are there ways that I do lead? Yeah. There's so much that my wife, she asked me my opinion on damn near everything. What do you think about this? What do you think about it? My wife has tremendous respect for me. Tremendous. My wife is free to do all kinds of stuff. Free to come and go and buy and do whatever, all kinds of stuff. But she consults me on damn near everything. Even what she might be wearing, as we might go out for the night. What do you think about this? This dress or this dress? This blouse or this blouse? She wants my opinion about everything. Tremendous respect. And I'm saying, I didn't train her. Like the brother said to me last week on one of my shows, he's like, yeah, you trained her to be that way. No, the hell I didn't. My wife showed up that way. But I tell you what, in order to keep her being that way, respectful and giving and nurturing and all these different things that she offers me, I had to pour something into her. And I think that's what a lot of brothers are missing, man. When you and look, I'll be the first one to tell you, probably 90% of the I'll be kind. And I'll say probably 80% of the women out here are on nonsense. Most of them are an absolute waste of your time. That don't mean that they're bad people. I'm gonna go farther. I'm gonna say 90% of the women out here are a waste of your time. Not because they're necessarily bad people. Some of them are good people. They're just a bad fit for you. I said some of them are good people. They're just a bad fit for you, right? So when you come across a good one, that's the challenge. Learning how to relate in a way that doesn't take away from your value as a person, just as a man, standing on your square, like not compromising what you think is important just to please her, just to make her happy. I'm talking about none of that. I'm talking about just learning how to relate in a way so that y'all can both benefit from the relationship. Early says you are correct. I'm running my mouth. Need to wet my whistle. Amina says, I didn't misunderstand. I responded to what was wrote, but I'm glad that you don't. And if that's what works in your house, great. But everyone does not move the same. And you being the man does not mean you know it all. Parents raise kids together and the household run according to what works for that man and that woman. Word, word, word. I get it. I get it. So, yeah, and even like, man, me and my wife used to get into it about stuff. I thought I had these ideas about what should be done with the children, you know. And again, I was very my way or the highway, right? I've been through that. I was that guy, and my wife couldn't stand my ass. My wife couldn't stand me. I told y'all before. I'm gonna say it again. She told me that it made her stomach hurt just to see my car pull up in the driveway. That's how much she couldn't stand me. R. Kelly said, when the woman's fed up, right? When the woman's fed up, ain't nothing you can do about it. That's the song. My wife couldn't stand my ass. How did I go from that to where we are right now, where my wife asks me to stay home from work regularly? If I tell her I'm tired, I'm thinking about staying home, she say less, fam, stay home. She wants me to stay home. And when I'm gone, she wants me to come home early. How you go from I can't stand him, you make my stomach hurt just to see you, to baby, don't go. Y'all don't hear me, man. I'm trying to tell you something, man. I ain't trying to brag. I'm trying to share a story with you. And I'm saying there's a way to do that, right? There are a lot of us want unconditional love, man. We want to be loved unconditionally, despite how we show up. That's not how human behavior works, man. That's not how human psychology works. She says, so Amina says, so what was the turning point for you, or was it a gradual change over time? I'm so glad you asked that question. I'm so glad you asked that question. Let me wet my whistle. So I suggested to my wife, I said, look, you can't stand me, and I ain't too crazy about you. And one, if it ain't me talking about divorce, he said I sang her a Barry White song. Nah, if it ain't me talking about divorce 1 month, it's her talking about divorce the next month. Only thing that saved us was that we were never talking about divorce at the exact same time. I'm telling you, if we would have came to the table with that same idea on the same day, we probably wouldn't be here right now. I would not be the love alchemist right now, right? So when I was talking to her, she was like, nah, we need to stay. We need to ride this out. And then, you know, there'll be times she'd say, I had enough. I'm out. And I'd be like, nah, we need to stay. We need to ride this out. So what I did was I came to her and I said, look, I think we need to go ahead and get some marriage counseling. We might have been together. We were living in Georgia for the first time. So this might have been around 6 years into our marriage. About 6 years into our marriage. First one I caught. Dope, bro. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, Jeff. So, excuse me. We had been about 6 years into the marriage. And I suggested marriage counseling. I told you she had a healthy idea of what she had a good idea of what healthy masculinity was and what a healthy relationship, better than I did, right? So when I came to her and I said, look, we need marriage counseling, she was like, nah, you just need to get your shit together. I'm like, the unmitigated gall of this woman, the audacity of this woman to challenge me in that way. I just told you we need marriage counseling. We got problems. We need marriage counseling. She was like, nah, you just doing it wrong. And she told me what I was doing wrong. She was right. I was wrong. I wanted to be out at the club 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, sometimes overnight, 9 o'clock. I fell asleep at my cousin's house, and I did, but it was still stupid. You know you got somewhere to go. You're a man with a wife and children. Don't drink so much where you fall asleep, and, don't do that, right? There's rules to this. And I was disrespectful as hell. Staying out all night, hanging out with the fellas, wanting to be drunk, playing video games. I was a nut, right? And on top of that, I wasn't very nice, right? I wasn't very pleasant to be around. She did not like being around me, right? So as she laid out all these things to me, I'm sitting here stunned, but not shocked, not surprised, because I know the truth of what she's saying, but I'm stunned because it hurt to hear it. You know what I mean? It don't feel good when somebody's laying out point by point that you're an asshole, right? It don't feel good. And then you don't really have a good defense for it. Like, you're an asshole, and here's why. Point number 1, 2, 3, 5, 15, 20. You're an asshole, and here's why. It stings a little bit, right? But I took heed. Jeff says, you were wrestling with the single Von. Yeah, man. He didn't want to hang up the shoes and let the married man take over. That single dude in us dies hard. That's as real as it gets. That's as real. And it wasn't even about other women for me. It was, look, I was in the Navy, man. I was in the Navy, and these young guys, man, they would hang out and they would be drinking and they would be dressing fly, and they'd come to work the next day and they'd be talking about how good of a time they had, and I wanted both of those. I still wanted my wife, but I wanted to be able to play whenever I wanted to play. And she was cool about me going out. She just said, be home at a respectful time, man. Go out, have your fun with your boys, but come home at a respectful time. And when you come home, don't come home drunk off your ass so that all I get is the drunk version of you, and you don't have no energy for me, no good time, no happiness, no feel good for me, right? So I was caught in wrestling with that. So as she laid out all these points of my assholeness, right, I saw it, I recognized it, and she was right. And so I began to make changes based on those things. And I think what's so important about that too, man, when you know you got a good woman, right? Or for women, when you know you got a good man and you know you messing up and you about to lose that, you're an idiot if you don't make the adjustment. Jeff says, wasn't about infidelity. It was about the play. It was about what play meant. And it didn't have any room. And it didn't have any room for her in the sandbox. Yeah, man. That's in a nutshell. In a nutshell. I was a nut. And I look, like Jay-Z said, I almost let the baddest girl in the world get away. And she didn't want to go. But I was making life so hard for her and so unsustainable for her. She had 4 children. And watch this. Look, she had 4 children and she ran it to me. She was like, look, I want to go to nursing school. And immediately I'm like, hell no. Nah. If you go to nursing school, you're going to leave me. That's how bad I knew I was messing up. I knew that if she went to nursing school and started making 60, 70, whatever $1,000 a year nurses were making in the early 90s, I knew she was out. So I said, all right, I'll be good. I'll be good. So I started behaving. I started being more thoughtful, more compassionate to whatever it was that she was feeling. I was more understanding, much more respectful. My communication was better. Much deeper intimacy. And when I say intimacy, I'm not just talking about sex, right? Intimacy is much deeper than just sex, right? Intimacy is about the connection that you have. And sometimes sex ain't even involved, right? But we were at a point where, or we grew to a point where my wife was actually able to feel like she could trust me with anything, no matter what she said, no matter how she felt. She could trust that she could share that with me and there wouldn't be ridicule or judgment or, see, women just be, women be thinking this way and women be acting that way. None of that. I had to grow past all that dumbness. Right. And so with all that, and that's what the book is about. That's what the Heart Work book is about. That's why we wrote it. So with all of that, we grew, or mostly I grew, because she's still the same. My wife has not changed. I met her when I was 12, and she just the core of who she is and what she is and what she brought to the table. Even then, when we got married at 18, she was still offering the same thing then that she offers now. It's just that I'm better able to receive it now because of the way I reciprocate. And now she's happy about doing it. She can't give me enough. Look, she came and hit. My birthday is in a couple weeks, right? My birthday is in almost 3 weeks. And she came in here and gave me 3 birthday gifts today. She was like, well, I don't want to wait. So here you go. And I'm in here opening my gifts like I'm like a kid in the candy store. And I'm happy as hell about the things that she got me. She's happy about how happy the gifts made me. I'm saying the woman is happy serving, right? When you come across that type of woman, I think you'd be a fool not to honor that, right? And so I honor my wife, and I try to honor my wife in everything I do, in every way that I show up. So in a nutshell, that's what it is. That's a long way of saying that I just turned into a nice guy. At least when it comes to my wife. I'm not necessarily nice to everybody else, but I'm real nice when it comes to my wife. Mina says, well, I'm glad you got your ish together. Tell her we said thanks for helping to give life to who we see today. Oh, man, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Really appreciate that. So that's all I got for y'all, fam. I just want to jump on here for a little bit. I ended up staying a lot longer than I thought I would, but if y'all don't have any more questions for me, make sure you show your boy some love at the Cash App, at the Alchemical Ministries, $ Love Alchemist 11. I appreciate y'all, man. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. And for that, I am eternally thankful. Love y'all. That's dope, ain't it? She even got that sign for me. I didn't even know I wanted it until she got it for me. Love y'all, fam. I'm out of here. Peace.